me ask you something. What if the founding document of Western philosophy, the most famous book about love ever written, was a book about men loving men? Not a footnote, not a subtext you have to squint out, the actual subject. What if I told you that for the last 150 years, every time a gay man has tried to understand who he was in courtrooms and medical journals, in the first gay rights speeches ever given, they have reached for this one book. It's called the Symposium. Plato wrote it about 2,400 years ago, and I've spent 30 years as a psychotherapist and author working with gay men, and I can tell you almost none of us were ever taught what's actually in it. That's what this series is for. Welcome to Heavenly Love, and I'm Dr. Douglas Sedownik with Psychology for the People. I'm a psychotherapist in Los Angeles. I founded the LGBT specialization in clinical psychology at Antioch University, also Colors LGBTQ Youth Clinic, and I'm the author of Healing Gay, Sex, and Love and Sacred Lips of the Bronx. And Healing Gay, Sex, and Love has a whole chapter where a gay men's therapy group performs Plato's Symposium. This video is the first session of something where I take some of the ideas I developed in founding the curriculum for the LGBT specialization in 2005, because we had none. Our main course there was LGBTQ history and myth, because we felt so profoundly that if we were going to help in the healing of LGBTQ people, they needed to know not just their modern history, but their deep and ancient history, insofar as we could even say that that history gives us a spiritual value that is missing from social science, from assimilationism, and also from queer theories. And this video is part of a series that I'm building with you here on YouTube that will become an online class where you can learn at your own pace about the transmission line stretching back from the first recorded piece of written history in Gilgamesh to the Egyptians landing here in ancient Greece, and particularly in Plato's Symposium. But you don't need to sign up for anything to be here. This is totally free. I would ask you that if you like what you're getting, to smash the like button and to subscribe so you'll get notifications about future videos. It'll really help the channel. All you need is this question: where did the idea of same-sex love as heavenly come from? Is it something meaningful, something with a soul? Can we still use that today? That idea did not come from nowhere. It has an address, and the address is a drinking party in Athens. So picture this. Athens, 416 BCE. A young playwright named Agathon has just won first prize at the city's biggest theater festival. He's beautiful, he's talented, and he's insufferable. And he throws a party. The guests are the A-list of Athens poets, a doctor, the comic playwright Aristophanes, and one scruffy, barefoot philosopher named Socrates, who shows up late because he stopped at a neighbor's doorway to think. And everybody just lets him think. Well, because that's Socrates. These men are all hungover from the night before, so someone proposes, can we get rid of the flute girls? Let's skip the heavy drinking tonight. And instead, how about each of us gives a speech in praise of love? And love, for those folks, was a god. And they called that god Eros. That's the whole setup. That's a symposium. Let's get rid of the flute girls. Let's not get so plastered as we did last night. And let's discourse on the philosophical nature of love. It's often left out when you learn about Plato's Symposium. Small little minor point. At the fountainhead of Western philosophy, the love of men for men is the love that gets the philosophy written about. Nobody taught me that either. I actually found it by accident. It was 1977. I was 18 years old, just out from the Bronx, a closeted Jewish kid from Shakespeare Avenue, sitting in Butler Library at Columbia at 2 in the morning. Assigned this dialogue for a class. I didn't know if I wanted to read Plato. I thought that might be kind of boring. I was looking at all the boys because at that time we only had boys at Columbia. And here I am reading this book, and there's a character in it, Alcibiades, the most beautiful man in Athens, and he crashes the party drunk and says of Socrates, "I was bitten in the heart and the soul by his words." Alcibiades, who's apparently very hot, is in love with Socrates. Then it dawns on me. And sitting there in the cigarette smoke, because all those 18, 19-year-olds were allowed to smoke in the library, with the other undergrads who are cruising each other, that's exactly what happened to me. Bit in the heart. Bitten in the heart. That was the night I said to myself for the first time, I am gay. Not that I have these urges and I have to date girls and make my Jewish parents proud and have children. Not that I have this problem. What am I going to do about it? But I am this. I am this person. I felt seen by them. I felt finally like I had come home, that I had read something for the first time about me. And I was an avid reader. But now, at the age of 18 and a half, I had discovered who I was reading a book. And here's what I want you to hear, especially if you're younger. I did not come out because of a psychology book or a Pride Parade or an app, because we didn't have apps a million years ago. I came out because of Plato. And I've spent 30 years in the therapy room watching what happens in gay men when they discover that their love has a lineage and what it can cost us if we don't learn about that. So what's in the symposium? 7 speeches and then 1 magnificent interruption. In this YouTube series, we're going to focus on 3 speeches. In the course, I'll go over the rest of them because in my mind, they get to the point pretty quickly. They get to the DNA of what we might call gay identity, if we want to call it gay. And then we're going to stay for the crash. Speech 1. This guy, Pausanias. He says that there is not one love or form of loves, but 2. Because there are 2 Aphrodites, 2 goddesses of love. There's a common Aphrodite, the love of the body, the love that makes babies. And then there's heavenly Aphrodite. Aphrodite Urania, an older goddess, born, the myth says, from the male alone. And the love she sponsors, it's the love of men for men. And Pausanias calls it, listen to this, the heavenly one, of great price to individuals and cities. The love you were told that was the lowest of the low, the first philosopher to rank that love puts it way on top. Speech 2. Aristophanes. He's a comedian. He tells the famous myth, you might know it from Hedwig and the Angry Itch, that human beings were originally round, double creatures, so powerful the gods split us in half. And ever since, each of us wanders the world searching for our other half. Aristophanes says there were 3 kinds of original round beings. And so 3 kinds of people. Men who love women, women who love women, and men who love men. Side by side, natural outcomes of the same cosmic event. 2,400 years before the word sexual orientation existed. And of the men who love men, he says, they are not shameless, as some claim. They are the most valiant and manly, and they grow up to lead the city. Speech 3, Socrates. He says he learned everything he knows from a woman, a priestess named Diotima. And Diotima teaches the strangest, most beautiful idea in the whole dialogue, that love is a kind of pregnancy. Everyone is pregnant, she says. in body or in soul. And two men who cannot make a baby together, they can give birth to something else: ideas, art, virtue, wisdom, which she calls children of the mind. And she asks, who wouldn't rather have those children? That's not a consolation prize. She says it's a higher birth. She gives us the famous ladder from the beauty of one body all the way up to beauty itself. And then, just as the whole room is floating up the rungs of the ladder to get toward heaven, the door crashes open. Enter Alcibiades, the most beautiful, most famous, most wounded man in Athens, drunk, crowned in ivy and violets. And instead of praising the god of love, he does something no one expects. He's looking for first Agathon, his boy toy, who's then canoodling with somebody else. And then he sees Socrates. And boy, is he jealous, because he was looking to have some time with Socrates. He didn't get invited to this party, and he's pining for Socrates. And all Socrates can do is not fuck with him, not love him, not hold him, not kiss him. And he's just unrequited for Socrates. But what does he do for revenge? He praises Socrates, the man who refused him. He confesses in front of everyone that we offered Socrates everything: his body, his beauty, his devotion. And what did he get? He got philosophy instead. Psychoanalysis instead. They slept together, but of course Socrates wouldn't put out. It is the most naked confession of unrequited love in ancient literature. Remember that line from Butler Library? Bitten in the heart, in the soul, by his words. That's his line, Alcibiades. The line that made me gay is the cry of the man the ladder left behind. And here's why Plato was a literary genius. Could have ended with Socrates going up the ladder and all of us flying up high like Daedalus to the sun. He ends the book with Alcibiades crashing the party right after the most transcendent vision of love ever written. Plato shows you the body that vision couldn't hold, the hunger, the jealousy, the ache that won't be made into a metaphor. If you've ever loved someone who wouldn't love you back, if you've ever been the drunk one at the door, let me in, you're in this book too. Because the ladder, as it turns out, and we're psychoanalytic here, has to go down before it can go up. 2,400 years ago, some men at a dinner party started a conversation about what our love is for. And now it's your turn and my turn to speak. Thank you so much. I look forward to your comments and to hearing from you.